first of all, what is a beer mile and why are you the world record holder in it?
Going to fourth beer, you're like, all right, I have one more beer left. This feels like I'm going to puke. Let's just get it done. And then let's just sprint the last lap home.
Do you think Olympics are, we talked a little bit before the call, Olympics are a legitimate possibility? How does one get into the Olympics for running and how is your progress with that?
And like they made it into a 10-minute documentary from hours and hours and hours of filming.
Next, he's gonna try the milk mile, and then after that, he's gonna try to eat a whole pizza while he's running. Like I want this to turn into like a genre almost.
You're listening to Board with Nelly.
Bro, Corey Bellemore, what's up, bro? We just start. We don't have a really professional intro. How's life, dude? We haven't seen each other since high school, probably.
It's been a while, man. Well, actually, I saw you at the pool a few times.
Oh yeah,
when I was swimming there.
Are you impressed that I've come to the pool? Because I hated swimming so much in high school. Like
Oh yeah, I mean, like a lot of the swim team, you knew the guys on it. So like when I was at the pool swimming,
right?
I think it was like what, a year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah. It was
like a triple take.
You guys had your own little routine. I just felt so out of place. I'm like, what is going on here? Why these guys are so well organized?
But you can respect the grind, man. You just showed up, you put your laps in, and like that was it.
You should have seen my first day at the pool. I literally did 200 meters, and I was like gasping for air, like I was getting waterboarded out there. It was not a good swim. But swimming's grown on me. I really like swimming. It's a really good sport. I mean, it's so light on your joints and all that.
Yeah, it's just good movement for the body. I think like just the resistance from the water. It's really good training for like cardiovascular, just like toning your muscles. Like I think it works a lot of different things, and it's low impact, so low risk of injury.
Did you start swimming before running, or did you start running before swimming, or did you start at the same time, kind of?
No, I ran first, and then in grade 9, like Riverside was known for their swim team, so all the kids that did cross country did the swim team as well. So
right. Did you have to do it? Was it like, did he force you to do it? Because I remember Mr. Lonkey was kind of crazy.
Yeah, he wanted like the better endurance athletes to at least give swimming a shot. So like all those older guys are like, man, you should try it. So then we tried it, and like it was my sister's sport at the time.
Right.
So she didn't talk to us for like 2 weeks because she thought we were like stealing her sport. But yeah, like I really enjoyed it. It was really hard though. Like we put in like 14 to 16 hours a week in the pool.
Holy shit.
And like, yeah, trained quite a bit. But I mean, it only helped my running.
Right. How many miles or kilometers did you do per week approximately of swimming? Do you remember? Because I get up to 1,000. Like now I'm at 1,000. I'm good. Like 1,000 in about 32 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like I can't do anymore.
Yeah, we probably got in like close to 20,000 or so.
20,000 kilometers?
Yeah, something like that.
Jesus Christ, bro.
Yeah.
You're an animal.
I'd say at least 15 to 20,000 for sure.
That's crazy. That's awesome. I mean, but what was this? I mean, in high school it was just as bad, right? You were swimming twice a day, right? You had morning session, then afternoon.
Yeah. So we would wake up. We'd be in the pool for 6 o'clock.
That's the one reason I didn't go into swimming. That's the big one. Yeah.
Oh, it's hard waking up, man. You'd wake up at like 4:35 a.m. Most mornings, and like just out of it, and then you have to jump in a cold pool in the winter. So it's like,
yeah,
it's awful.
And winter here is like 6 months. So it's like, and so how long is swimming season? Is it like 4 or 5 months? It's like a longer season, right?
Yeah, approximately like end of October, early November until like mid-March or so.
Damn. Yeah, it's
a long time. Yeah, and you're just grinding the whole time. Like the only real break you have would be Christmas break, but then there was like 3 to 4 Christmas practices, which were 2.5 hours long.
Dude, how did you do this in high school? Like most people are not this motivated to do this kind of stuff in high school. It's a 1% of people would actually be crazy enough to want to wake up at 5 a.m. to go swim a couple kilometers.
It was, I don't know. It was just something I like enjoyed. It's something like I thought I could push myself and see potential in.
Right.
So it was easy to make the decision to like actually pursue it and like go to these practices, like find ways to enjoy it. And like I was surrounded by people that were like hardworking as well. Like,
Yeah, it's beautiful because Lockie was a really good coach. As much as some people might hate on him, he really got the best out of everyone, you know?
oh yeah, like just it stems from a coach that makes you buy into the system, and like you see success from previous years, and then it's easy to follow suit and like want to be better than those years past.
Sure. And then how do we transition from swimming into running in university? Did you do any swimming in university or was it just running?
No, only when I was injured, I would just do it as like a cross training tool. But then I would just transition fully into uh, running specific. But the big thing in high school, like my high school coach, Greg Kavanaugh, he said like, he's like, do you want to be good now in high school, or do you want to be good down the road, like in university? And like he always babysit that long term like belief, long term development. So once I went to university, it's easy to put the full gas on just running specifically, doing weights, doing everything I could to be like the best runner possible.
Right. And I'm looking at some of your university accolades. Pretty good stuff here. 2014 CIS National Gold Medalist, 4 times 800. 2014 fourth place in 600. 2013 silver medalist. I mean, you did pretty good in university. And what did you ever think you were going to be that successful in running, or no?
Yeah, like I mean, I only stayed the sport because I always had this belief that like I could get to the next level. Uh, Maybe not as quick as some people's progression, but like I'm like if I keep my head down, work hard, I'm like I'll eventually get there. So like I'm still on the path of like wanting to be right at the top, but I'm still on the cusp of getting there. So there's still progression, there's still progress every year.
How hard is it now that you're out of university, right? Or no, you're out of university to continue this path. You know, you kind of want to keep doing running. You love running, obviously, but it's very difficult to make something that you really enjoy like that. That's not really, you know, you can't really make the most money out of it at first. It's only until later on. How are you finding that journey?
I've had a lot of people to help me out. That's been the biggest thing. Then honestly, like probably heard about the beer mile. That's
Yeah,
been
we'll talk about it. Yeah, a
yeah,
little bit.
that's been a huge help in just like getting exposure, getting brands, and then like getting some financial support from that. And then there are little ways like Athletics Ontario, which is our provincial branch for track and field. They like give up funding every year. So if you place like top 3 or whatnot at the provincial championships and then get certain times throughout the year, there's opportunities for funding through them. And then I just work part time quite a bit when I'm not training. So it all supplements each other, and it's like it's the dream for now. But I know it's not like something I can do forever. But while I'm young, I might as well push my body and enjoy this.
Sure, of course. You talked about the beer mile. Obviously, this is a big thing. I mean, this was awesome for you. I remember seeing the documentary with Milos when you guys made it, and he was on the pod. And we were talking about this. Let's talk about how all of this came about. First of all, what is a beer mile, and why are you the world record holder in it?
So beer mile is exactly what it sounds. It's pairing beer and running. So you drink 4 beers, run 4 laps. So you start with a beer. There's a 9-meter chug zone back off the start line. You stay in that chug zone until you consume your beer. And then you run 400 meters of a track, and you do that 4 times. So it ends up being a mile running. And then, 4 times 355 milliliters of beer. It's not comfortable. Like people think I enjoy it and have fun during it, but
no, right?
It's just as awful as it sounds. So yeah, we did one. I think the summer or no, when was it? It was my 3rd year of university, I think. Sorry, it was my 2nd year of university after cross country season. We just did it for fun at Forster Track, like at night, 9 o'clock at night, just for fun with the team. So it was like our binge week. We just we do some drinking that week. Like don't really take training too seriously.
Sure.
And then we did that one. And then 2 years later, we revisited. Like my friend brought a 6-pack over. He's like, dude, I want you to try it. I've seen you chug. I've seen you run. If you pair these 2 things together, you could be like the best.
Right. But you, when did you hear about the beer mile? How long have you known about that?
It's always been like a thing, like since like late 1980s, early 1900s.
Really? It has that many years of history? I didn't know it was that, like, wow.
Yeah, it was like back in the 1990s, early 1990s, I think. There was a group from Queen's University that just started this thing called the Beer Mile, and they would have other teams from American universities, Canadian universities just try it out, and like they would compare times through forums or text each other, call each other,
so
whatever.
Wild.
And then it became like more of a mainstream thing come like 2015 or so, 2014. So Lewis Kent, like he was the previous world record holder. He was on Ellen DeGeneres, like
Damn,
just
did
got
they
tons of
not get
media
you out,
stardom.
Ellen? Come on, they should have. Did you ask
It's
Ellen? Like, come on.
crazy. We had the same agent, so like he was on TMZ, I was on TMZ. Like it was pretty crazy.
Right, that's awesome.
What came from it, but yeah, it was just random. Like our friend took me to the track and just wanted to try it, and then it blew up from there.
You got a world record time on a potato recording of a video. I must say, it was the highest quality video.
It's my buddy's iPad. He's just holding up like this. It was starting to become like pretty dark outside, so it's like I don't know.
Right, like I guess that looks like Corey. I mean, it could be some dude in the park just running by himself. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's good. And then the next day, you got asked to fly out and compete in the actual annual world championship in the beer mile. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so every year they have a world classic. It's called the Beer Mile World Classic. So it was in London, England that year. I didn't even know it was taking place like that weekend at all.
Right.
So we ran this one just not expecting anything. And then I just get contacted by them to like fly out that night. Like the next morning I woke up, sent me a message, I flew it that night. Like it was just crazy.
That's so crazy, yeah.
So I had 2 friends driving to Toronto, and then I was in England for 50 hours.
And then you beat your own record in England.
Yeah. So it was pretty wild.
Were you competing for like a prize pool? What was there anything at stake here? How big is this thing, I guess, for people that might not know, how much it's evolved?
Yeah, the World Classic was just getting going, like it was its second year. So there was no prize money at this point for it. It was more or less just get a free trip out of it, go to England.
Good exposure, obviously.
Race here. Yeah, and then exposure came from it. I didn't know it was going to come from it, but it like blew up from that. So that's when like we started contacting brands. I got in contact with an agent, and then he helped me like get a bunch of deals.
That's so cool. So wait, did you got a brand deal with Adidas after? I want to know how these things even come about. What do they ask for? Like you're an ambassador for them, or how does that work?
So it was supposed to be for track and field, but basically the exposure from the beer mile helped the both of us. So like they got exposure from it being like associated with me, whether it was in like TMZ articles or ESPN Sports Illustrated.
Right.
Adidas was always attached to my name, and then for me, my focus was to be the best track athlete I could be and make future Canadian teams.
Sure. Is this a thing that was mostly for people that were drinkers and then they just ran, or was it? You know what I'm saying? Like you're already a very high level runner. Was this a sport where there was a lot of high level runners, or was it more of like a side thing for people that like drinking and like running?
Yeah, it was more or less like just a joke thing. Like it was a lot of like frat boys doing this. Obviously, some of the guys are serious runners, but like it was nowhere like near an elite level runner trying the beer mile or being good at it. So I think once I started doing it and started getting better at it, it was like the first time like someone that had broken 4 minutes in the mile had actually started doing really well in the beer mile.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, that time is pretty crazy. I don't even know if I can do that time sober, like with a full night's rest. Like that's a really good time. What was it? 4:30? What was it?
4:33. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good for like even if that was like an average, mile for most people. It'd be like, damn, I'm doing really good this weekend.
Yeah. So actually, that one we did at the halftime of a like semi-pro soccer game in San Francisco. So we were the halftime show. Yeah.
They watched you chug some beer and then run a mile, and like, were people going wild? What was the vibe like?
It was wild because there's like kids in the stands and stuff like that, like watching the soccer game, and it was like their last game of the season, sold out.
Right.
So I'm just doing this beer mile during the halftime. We had 15 minutes. You can't puke. You just get in, do the beer mile, leave.
Yeah.
So you're not thinking about much. You're just trying to like get it done as quick as you can. And then afterwards, like they made me do like a victory lap. So like I'm slapping 5 all these kids' hands, all these parents in the stands, either shaking their head, they're cheering. So it was bizarre.
That is kind of weird. Like we're celebrating an alcoholic. Good job, guys. He's like, this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty jokes.
That's awesome though. And then from there, like, have you been competing in every one of these beer mile things since then, or what?
Mostly just one a year. So as long as it doesn't interfere with training or racing schedule, then I'll make sure I'm there. That's sort of like my obligation for that. But yeah, just one, maybe 2 a year.
Do you train for it? Like, are you I mean, there's two kinds of training you can do, right? You can do obviously the drinking, but then you can start like studying the mixtures in the beer and figuring out which one is the best with your stomach. Like hire a team to figure out what's like the best synergy.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like it can become as scientific as you want it with the carbonation, the beer you're using, the like tilt on your chug. Like there's so many
There's
different
levels
aspects
to
to
the
it.
beer mile game, is what you're saying?
100%, yeah. So I mean, I know the boys in London and the previous world record holder, they like studied all the fastest ways of doing it. But for me, it was just like I come together, I come in the best run shape I'm in,
Right.
and then I just pray to God
You
on
don't
that
throw
day
up
that I'm
too,
not
right?
going to puke.
Yeah, people don't know. If you throw up, you get disqualified. So like that's already
Disqualified or a lap, which makes you pretty much out
that's
of
over,
for the
right? That's a
race.
lot.
Yeah,
A lap is what, 300 meters, 400 meters?
400 meters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all. Yeah, that's game over, right?
so yeah, if you're over a minute and a bit behind.
It's kind of funny because that feels like a lot of what you're doing is kind of out of your control. Like you can't really control how your stomach is going to react that day to that beer and that climb, whatever. It could be, right?
Yeah, no, you can't control it. You just gotta like, I mean, the guy who made up the beer mile and like started it to make it become a thing that started the World Classic, he always says like there comes a point in the beer mile you have to force down the beers. Like
Right.
you can't think about it, you just gotta trust you're not gonna puke, and you literally can't take any breaks. You just gotta like force it down as best you can.
So, okay, run me through this. First lap, the beer, pretty easy, right? Goes down easy. You can chug it. Second lap, how are we feeling second beer? 400 meters in.
400 meters in, second beer is like it's pretty easy still, but it's like you're starting to question like, why am I doing this?
Right.
And then third beer is like, all right, I'm starting to feel a little tingly.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel good. I don't really want to be doing this anymore. And then going to fourth beer, you're like, all right, I have one more beer left. This feels like I'm gonna puke. Let's just get it done, and then let's just sprint the last lap home. So,
That's wild.
yeah.
Do you feel like that like lump is just like in your stomach and it's like juggling around as you're running?
Oh yeah, you have over 4 pounds of beer in your stomach. I think it's something crazy like that.
Drinking 4 beers in 4 minutes is, I mean, it within itself is kind of like a lot. But then running a mile is just insanity. It feels like kind of sick person created this, you know?
Oh, it's like it's ultimate like pain, discomfort, like not great
It's a
feeling.
mental. I was really excited because I really wanted to know more about the beer mile. Like I've been inviting people, and I always just have the most like obscure questions about the most random shit. And to me, this is like beyond fascinating. Like I could talk about a beer mile for like the next 3 hours, bro. Did more athletes come on board now that they notice like you got a lot of exposure? Does this create a lot of enemies? You know, like there's so much in this game now. Like they want to make that Adidas money. You know, like. Other runners are seeing you. They're like, dude, I could run a pretty good mile. Why can't I do this?
The thing is, it's still so underground that like a lot of guys, even if they have tried it or wanted to try it after, they'll probably film it at the track, and if they do bad, they'll never talk about it again.
Right.
So like, I'm sure there's been guys that have tried and been like, oh man, I'm gonna beat that guy, I'm gonna beat that guy. But then they realize how hard it is, and then they're like, I don't want anything to do with it.
Right. Because you need to be a special kind of person with the special kind of like stomach to be able to do this. It's not even it might not necessarily be a, you know, athleticism thing. It might be like, oh, bro, I just can't handle beer well. Like how many of these runners are drinking like beers on the regular and still, you know, running?
Yeah, not many. Like even myself included, like I like a few casuals every so often or celebrating like a big race or like cool opportunity. But like I'm not a huge partier. So when it comes down to it, it's like, my stomach can probably handle the alcohol just from being able to like train super hard after like a big meal or something like that. Like that's how my stomach is trained, I guess. Or it's just genetics. I have no idea.
Just yeah. Was there a beer mile this year for 2020 or no? Is it happening at the beginning of the year or end of the year usually?
They did a virtual one. Usually it's in the summer, like sometime July, August. So last year was in Berlin, Germany. This year it's supposed to be in like Copenhagen, but it just
dude, these places are. I might get involved in. What are you saying? It's Copenhagen, Berlin. These are sick places to travel to. Like, oh,
it's been unreal. Like the trips, like you have a group of guys from like Sweden, England, Norway, Australia, US. Like there's just a bunch of different people from different countries coming together to do a beer mile. It's like
there's like
not the most fun event during, but like the actual celebration for the week is amazing.
There's like a movie here, I feel like. There's like some sort of weird comedy, like, what's that? There's like a beer movie, like Beer Pong or something like that. Like, I feel like we can do something with this. Like, there's so many characters here. We can play off some stereotypes and make this into like a full feature thing.
That's the thing, yeah. There's like, and it's crazy because like a lot of people would judge us and be like, man, these guys are just frat boys, partiers. But like we have like lawyers, doctors, like engineers, like you name it, we have it within the beer mile like community itself.
You have some characters, is what you're saying. Like, because you have to have a character. Which person is willing to drink 4 beers in 4 minutes and run a mile? Like, you got to be a character to want to do even this event.
Oh yeah, you can't take yourself too seriously, definitely.
Right. Well, how big do you think this can honestly get? Like, can this be like the next like big party thing, or I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out what the ceiling, because you're saying it's growing every year, and I believe it. It sounds awesome. Like, I would definitely go and watch one of these events. Like, this sounds. I'm either gonna watch someone puke or I'm gonna watch someone like run a ridiculous time. So like, why wouldn't I be there? How big can it get?
It's still like super underground. Like it's run by the people who started it are the ones who like make it a thing every year. So I think if they actually had like a media team or someone to take care of that aspect of it and focus solely on growing it, it could become like a huge thing. But right now, since it's only like it's for the elites that come, like there's only a certain amount of people. I don't think it can't grow enough, and it can't grow in the way they want it. Like all these guys have everyday jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is just a fun thing they started, and the next thing you know, you have a guy that's like potentially going to be an Olympian coming to run your. I mean, for them, they must have been thrilled when they saw like the video of you running.
Yeah, they were stoked, but they always say like, "Man, you messed it up for us," because like the record went from here to like down there.
Yeah.
So it's like even myself, like if I would have broke it a little bit over the years, it would have been way better. But I just like I went in with no thoughts. I'm just like, I want to do something as hard as I can do it, and that was it.
It's like Usain Bolt when he's running the 100-meter, and you can see him just slow down a little bit at the end because he knows he can do a little bit better, and he's going to save it for the biggest event.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the smartest way to go about it. But like, it was a new event for me, so I was just like, all right, let's just do this.
There was some controversy in the beer mile for people that are not beer mile enthusiasts like myself. There has been some controversy with like you got a really, really good time, but there was leftover beer in the bottles. Like they calculate how much beer is left.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. But I mean, we were in BC doing the World Classic. It was in 2018, and yeah, just too much beer left over at the end. Like, so you're allowed 4 ounces. So it's sometimes when you're chugging as quick as it can come out, there's gonna be a little foam that builds up. So once you're done chugging it, you toss the beer. They keep it up right, and then at the end, they compile like how much beer
crazy.
Left. Yeah, so they'll measure it, and I was measured just over the 4 ounces allowed. So like during my 3rd beer, I knocked over my 4th beer, I believe, and it just caused it to spin and foam up more than usual.
Right.
So I think that was like the tipping point, but at the same time, I was just rushing. I was trying to be quick.
Why, wait, is it? Yeah, but is this a thing because it's in the bottle? Like, is there not a better way to, like, a delivery system that would not have as much foam, or no? I'm confused as to why they even still use a bottle. Is it?
Like, yeah, you either have to use bottles or cans. You can't shotgun, do anything
That's
like
so
that.
Weird.
Like no beer bongs or anything. Like
a guy comes in and he lifts you by the lips.
Yeah, that would be crazy. But yeah, TSM was doing a documentary at that point in BC, so I was just trying to go crazy, like go balls out, you know.
The TSN video was actually hype because it was literally like outside my place at the Riverside track. I'm like, wait a minute, I know this. I saw the video. I'm like, I know this place. I walk by like crazy. Every day.
They came and did like 2 or 3 days of filming. So like honestly, we did probably like 6 or 7 hours easily of filming, and then a bunch of filming in BC. And like they made it into a 10-minute documentary from hours and hours and hours of filming. It's
so well done. It's such a really good put together video. Like the graphics and they had some drone shots. I could tell. I'm like, this is no joke. Oh, they had a professional crew come down. Like it was legit. They had a sound guy. They had a producer. They had a really good video guy. It was amazing. Yeah. I still think the one with Milos, with all due respect, is way better because he asked the most important question of all in that video. He's like, would this be harder with chocolate milk? And this is a question we all have to ask ourselves. I think my answer is like, man, chocolate milk's pretty thick. I don't know. Yeah, I was like, dude, if you really want, you could definitely turn this into another kind of challenge, right? And just mess around, like try it with chocolate milk, see what happens. Like, set a time, set it to Guinness, like put it in the record books. Why not? There's a bunch of kids every year at the end of their track season in the States that do like chocolate milk miles just before Christmas, before the holidays. And they always puke. Like it's just video battle of endurance.
puke.
Yeah, that's funny. You've obviously grown a lot from this. What are some privileges, I guess, or benefits of holding this record? Has it helped you out? Get some exposure with your running and the other stuff you're doing.
Yeah, it's definitely like got me some like really good contacts, made some really good friends. So that's been like huge, obviously. But with branding and stuff like that, like Adidas, beer sponsorship, it's been incredible. And then just having the opportunity to work with an agent and learn like the business side of sports and entertainment, it's been like pretty eye opening.
Right.
And then just the ability to travel to different places. So last year I did like the European circuit. So the Beerma in Berlin got me over to Europe, like paid my flight, everything like that. And then I did like a training camp there in Netherlands, and then
Damn.
did like a bunch of meets and had my personal best in Sweden. So it was
Beautiful.
like it got me over to Europe, got me in the scene, and like it just helped me out a lot.
Meet any cool people along the way that like I think connections are really big in these kinds of things, and
Oh
all
yeah,
it takes is one really good one. Someone with an idea, an opportunity. And they're like, hey man, you want to come and work for me, help me out with this, and then all of a sudden, oh sweet, I've turned what was just like a little joke, like a little run with the boys on a Sunday night, to like, oh, I have a job out of this thing.
hmm yeah. I've made a lot of good contacts. Like I was saying, like whether lawyers, whether they're doctors, engineers, um, investors, like just a lot of different people. So if I have to ask advice about, I don't know, anywhere my mind takes me, I have so many people to like ask things about. And then if I want to travel to like Australia, Sweden, any of those places, there's
You
so many
got a friend there,
contacts.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
amazing.
that's beautiful. What else do you think you could do? I mean, obviously you like running, but have you thought about what else you would like to do on top of that? Because I've talked to a bunch of people. I even had last week I had a UFC guy on, and he was telling me
hmm
about his UFC journey. He has a contract. He won the Contender Series. And he's like, yeah, I still like run my own gym. I still do. He does like videography for Stipe Miocic.
Nice.
And
Damn.
I'm like, oh, like yeah, of course, you're still doing something else because you never know, right? Your last, even
Yeah.
Stipe. This is the crazy part. Even Stipe Miocic, who's a world class, literally one of the greatest heavyweight UFC fighters of all time, still works at his local fire station.
Yeah, I know that's crazy.
Like,
I know that's wild. I'm a big UFC fan, so yeah, I
yeah.
definitely
Oh, you're
definitely
gonna
follow that.
like that. You're gonna like that episode. But yeah, so is there anything else you're thinking about doing? You're still young, obviously. Other dreams, paths.
Honestly, like I've always wanted to go in law enforcement. So like right now, I'm just working like part time at a running store here, and then I do like respite with two different families who have boys with autism. So I'm a support worker for them.
Beautiful.
So it's just it keeps me busy. It's really good time management, and then eventually I want to do like law enforcement of some sort. So whether it's like border services or policing, I'm not too sure, but
Nice.
yeah, eventually.
Nice. Do you think the Olympics are we talked a little bit before the call? Olympics are a legitimate possibility. How does one get into the Olympics for running, and how is your progress with that?
Yeah, so you have to get top three at Olympic trials, which are going to be at the end of June. And then going into Olympic trials or at Olympic trials, you have to get like a certain time standard. So the time standard is 3:35 flat, I believe. It's going to be interesting to see if they like change that time
What's
standard.
the time stand? What is sorry? I'm a little confused. Time standard just means like the lowest time you can get, or what?
So basically, so if you get under 3:35, you will automatically qualify as long as you get top three at
Really
your trials. Yeah.
interesting.
So every country has their own trials. So Canadian trials are end of June. Other countries will be sort of around that time as well. Or there is a world ranking system. So this gets really confusing. If you go to
Let's
certain
go, baby.
meets,
I'm in. Let's go down this rabbit hole. I'm interested.
so if you go to certain meets and get certain places, certain times at those meets, there's a different system set up that you can get a certain amount of points for those meets.
Got it.
So there's some meets that are tiered as an A meet, B meet, C meet, whatever. And then depending if you place high at those meets, low at those meets, it'll give you a certain amount of points.
But how
It's
does
really
that work
weird.
this year? How does that work this year with like almost no events probably and Corona and all
That's a
that?
that's a thing. They're gonna have to like I think they're gonna have to give a good look at the qualification system just because it's not really feasible this year.
Is that what you've been training for? What's the specific event you've been training for?
1,500 meters.
1500. And have you
Yeah,
tried to set these times? Do you think it's doable, or is it going to be really tough? Or
yeah. It's just honestly, it's gonna be about getting into the right race and like having because in the 1,500, whether you're in like 3:35 shape or 3:39 shape, the shape doesn't change too much necessarily. It's more or less like the environment, the
Yeah, the
race,
how
the
you're feeling that
track,
day, let's say, or anything,
everything. It's
right?
just got to come together on that day. So, uh, I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna keep trying, get in that shape, and then hopefully I just feel good on the day, and like the weather's good, and the
You
track
should
race
you
on
you
good. Like,
should come in and be like, guys, please, I've done the beer mile. Like, step aside. Like, I'll take the first lane, guys. Thanks. Have you done a beer mile? Okay, all right, good, bro. Like, have a good one. Just right there. I'll be here.
yeah, I don't know if that'd get me more friends or more enemies.
Right. They're like, what the fuck is a like? They probably what the fuck is a beer mile? What are you talking about?
Yeah, because a lot of people see the beer mile as like a parody too of the sport. So I
Haters,
mean,
haters. Don't
yeah,
even listen
yeah.
to those people, bro. This is the actually. You know what? I think this is the real sport, and like the actual like mile is like whatever. Who cares? Like that's not a challenge.
Just running.
Just running? Why? I mean, I ran outside like yesterday. Like that's not hard. I've been running in the wintertime. It's kind of hard. Like I've been trying the last couple of days. It's been brutal. Like it gets so cold some days.
Yeah, I was injured for the last little bit, so I'm just starting back up training. But like as long as you have winter gear, it's not too bad.
Right. You got actual like legitimate winter running gear.
Oh,
I'm running in like my dad's sweatpants. Like, you know, it's not really the best quality.
yeah, if you have winter like tights and thermal like
Yeah.
coat and stuff like that, you're laughing in the winter. The
I
only
gotta
thing that gets
invest in
cold
that.
sometimes is your face and stuff like that. But no, other than that, it's pretty easy.
Right. What was the injury? What did you have?
I had a stress fracture in my upper tibia, so it's
Ooh,
like right under my knee.
damn.
So really, really weird spot. But
How did
yeah,
that just happen randomly, or was it because you were running one day, or what?
I was in Arizona training for Olympic trials like this year before like coronavirus happened and all that stuff.
Arizona, a little hot
Yeah.
there. No.
Oh, it's beautiful, man. But I was avoiding the Canadian winter,
Right.
so
Smart. Right.
I was just there training really well. Probably in some of the best shape I've ever been in, and came back and 2 3 weeks later, I just felt something in my knee, and I'm just like I have
Damn.
a stubborn mentality. Like I'm just gonna train through it. It's gonna go away. I'll be good, and just kept training. And then eventually, like I guess have trouble walking. So I was like something's wrong. Got a bone scan on it, and then yeah, it's just been lingering since. So
There's that fine line between pain and knowing when to stop. And I always have this problem too. Like sometimes I think, okay, is this a pain that actually is like a little bit worrying, or is this a pain that I'm just like a bitch? Like I just got to get through it, you know?
so true. Yeah, it's very hard to determine because you're always told as an athlete if you want to be better, you got to push. You got to push. You got to push through the discomfort, push through the pain sometimes, and that'll take you to the next level. So when you're constantly told that and you feel something, it's just like
You
okay,
mentally, your brain
turn
is
off the
not
brain.
having it. Yeah, you're like, no, I'm not doing it. Like I'm going through this. Like it's fine.
Exactly. So especially when you're at that, like you're trying to get to that next percent. Like all it is 1% between me and like the top guys.
Yeah, of
So
course.
I'm just trying to like get any percentage I can. So if one workout is that next percent, I'm trying to get that next percent.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have this notion that like this stuff just happens overnight, but for most people, the real gains happen over years, and we're talking about like just chipping away little margins every single day. Like it's like learning a new language or doing anything that requires a lot of skill. Like it's not a one day thing. You just got to keep going.
No, but honestly, sometimes it looks like a 1 day thing because that 1 day is all it takes for you to show that like it all paid off.
Right. Swimming is another thing that I am really sad they shut down here because they were. I don't know if were you swimming at WFCU here at the local pool.
Yeah, I was swimming at the aquatic.
Center. At the center. Yeah. So like they had everyone had their own lane, and it was 6 people for the whole pool. And you would book a time in advance. You would get an hour, so you're in and out an hour. You can't linger around. One way in, one way out. Pool is like chlorine. It literally kills everything. Like there's nothing that can survive in that shit. Like I promise you, like you drop radiated fucking material in there, it would die. All right.
Oh, I know. My hair used to die during like swim season. It
really?
used to like turn white, and I could pull it out. So yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Jesus Christ. So like that's been a big loss, obviously. And was swimming something you were still implementing in your training before pandemic and before they shut them down?
Yeah. So when they shut down the pools initially, like during the first lockdown, I was swimming like in the lake. So the lake isn't the cleanest thing in the world, but I had a wetsuit and I was doing like a lot of open water swims. So they'd be anywhere from like 2 kilometers to 3.5 kilometers or so.
In the lake?
Yeah, in the lake.
You're a savage, bro. Like what?
I had to do something. I was getting stir crazy.
Yeah.
It's all I had. So I was like, you know what? even though this water's pretty nasty, I'm just gonna do it and I'm gonna get fit from it.
I like that we all know that the water here is just not great, but we're like, fuck it, bro. Like, I think I went there like once since I was like 7. Like, for some reason, I just can't do it.
You don't want to go in it too much. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, like, well, you've already spent years in chlorine. I mean, is a little radiated lake really gonna do anything to you? You know?
As long as you're rinsing off afterwards, I think you're all right. But yeah, you don't want to ingest that water at all.
What was the difference between swimming in that lake and swimming in at the local pool? Like, did you really get out there? Because I think some people think that the lake is like really deep, but it doesn't get deep for like I don't know, hundreds of meters. I feel, right?
Yeah, so I would just honestly swim close to. I would go from my chiropractor. He lives on the lake. I'd just go from his back dock and swim off and stay like fairly close to shore, just so if jet skis or anything, boats were coming,
Right.
I wouldn't get smacked. And I would just swim with like a buoy around my waist, and it was just like an orange floaty that would come with me. So even if someone was like boating or jet skiing close to the shore, they'd see me. And yeah, I would just like swim close to the shoreline out and then swim back. So I could always touch that at some point.
That's dedication. Have you ever seen the British guy that swam around all of like the UK? Have you heard of this guy?
Oh yeah, I did. His tongue got all messed up from the salt, and yeah, I have seen that.
Dude, I've seen footage. I'm like, this. First of all, that guy is beyond shredded. Like, he looks like
he's a meathead, man.
a superhero, right?
Oh yeah.
But have you thought about maybe setting some sort of challenge for yourself to get some, I don't know, maybe get some exposure? Now you have an audience. I mean, I think this is the thing maybe you haven't thought about that I was kind of looking at, like your videos. You have an audience. You can kind of make content, right? You have a decent following on Instagram. Have you thought about making your own content and videos?
I wouldn't know where to start, to be honest.
What? Come on, bro. What are you talking about?
I think I have ideas and stuff like that, but I just don't have like the video expertise, editing expertise. It'd be something I have to really like dedicate myself to and learn. So I'd have to set some other passion or like with my jobs and stuff like that, I have to set something on the back burner just to focus on something like that. But I definitely thought about it because like I'm good friends with like Lionel Sanders, and his following is insane. And
yeah.
Like his YouTube channel does very well, but they have a guy working for them. So if I was ever going to do something, I'd probably get like Talbot, their video guy, to do it. I
think the running community is a very like small it's very small community that's like well put. You know what I'm saying? But like, there's not a lot of people that are into running, and I think that it's actually running has grown quite a bit lately, especially the like long distance running. I don't know if you've given that any mind. These guys are running like 100 miles, like every other day. Like the guy was on Joe Rogan podcast, Cameron Haynes, I think. He's talking about how
David Goggins, all those like.
I feel like running is booming, right? Is it just me, or is the running scene exploding, especially with these like marathon runners?
I think the ultra scene is blowing up a little bit.
Ultra scene, like, right?
Ultra scene is anything over like a full marathon. So full marathon's 42 kilometers. Anything over that, 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers, 50 miles, 100 miles. Anything over, yeah.
That's crazy.
That above is like insane. But
have you done that? Have you ever done one of those?
my longest run ever is 31K.
31K. Holy shit, that's still a lot. Yeah. I think the longest I could do is like 10.
A lot of people have a perception that like mid-distance runners don't do like a lot of mileage, but I mean, there's a lot of middle-distance runners that do anywhere from 85 to 100 miles a week. Right.
That's so crazy, man. To me, when I heard this guy like saying that he runs 100 miles like every couple days, I'm like, what does that even mean? Like 100 miles is like me going to London and just for funsies. Like, what enjoyment do you get? Like, your feet start bleeding out of.
Yeah, maybe when I'm older, but like eventually you're going to sacrifice like speed for that kind of duration of running.
Right.
So you just got to be careful when you're doing that kind of stuff. There's high risk for injury. You just got to make sure you're fueling properly.
Right. What about the guys that have already made it to the top of the running game? How are they kind of making a living, I guess? Is it mostly through sponsors? Have you given that much thought about how to actually make this a sustainable thing?
Yeah, most of them make their money through sponsors or bonuses within their sponsors, or just prize money in general. So they'll probably make it from a few different aspects there. And then there are some teams in the States that are pretty popular. So US, like running is a huge scene, especially with high school kids. They just like feed off it. So there's a lot of like little clubs or teams in the US that like sell merchandise, and kids just like eat it up. So
this is it, my guy. Yeah. I feel like we're here. We're getting to like this moment of clarity. I feel like I think we started. I'll help you out. I'll tell you how to edit. I'll teach you how to do it. You start making these running videos. We get this massive running community behind you. Like, this is the guy that set like the beer mile record. Next, he's gonna try the milk mile. And then after that, he's gonna he's gonna try to eat a whole pizza while he's running. Like I want this to turn into like a genre almost.
Yeah, I've thought about that, but I also don't want to become a sellout. Like I want to be authentic.
Come on, bro. It's not a sellout. It's content. I think people give that a lot of like. Obviously, that's a really good thing because like people give a lot of like thought to what the content they should be making. You know, the sponsors. Like there's a lot of morality that comes with, in my opinion, at least, to like what kind of stuff you want to make. But at the end of the day, like you got to do what like you think is best for you, and sometimes. It might not seem right in the moment, but like I think long term, you're like, oh, well, I tried it. Like maybe I wasn't right, maybe I didn't like it, but I at least gave it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's something to think about for sure. I just like, yeah, I can't see myself like stuffing my face with a bunch of pizza and then going for a run or something like that. Like I would just be taken as a joke. Where
right.
like I'm a pretty serious guy, like especially when it comes to athletics.
You've seen those like YouTube channels where like they have like eating challenges, obviously, and
oh yeah,
crushes like a whole pizza in like 4 minutes, and you're like, this guy's an athlete. Like this is some next level shit. Like he's literally has a technique to get this food down.
Oh, yeah. And I definitely think I could do stuff like that, but it's just like I don't know if I wanted to.
I hate this so much. There's so much potential we're not tapping into. God damn it. Dude, I don't know. I feel like I got all the questions I really wanted to ask you. You're gonna make any videos of Milos in the future?
Milos?
Yeah, because
we always talk about man. We always throw out ideas to each other. We're good friends, so there'll probably be some more stuff from us in the future.
Beautiful. I send Milos all my bad video ideas that I never make. I'm like, bro, how funny would this be? And then he's like, that's awesome. And I'm like, whatever. I don't want to make that.
Yeah, seriously though, either Lionel's video guy Talbot or Milo should be like, if I started a YouTube channel, those would be the guys I'd work with.
I think if you really wanted to do it, you could do it. Obviously, you got to really be passionate about something to do it. Video editing itself is not hard. The bigger difficulty, in my opinion, with YouTube and stuff is marketing, creating like good graphics to like you can have the best video in the world, but if you don't market it well, if you don't title it well, if you don't have a good like image, no one's gonna click on it.
True.
So I think the TSN video is a good example of that because I think that's a fucking awesome video, and to me, it's criminal that it only has 50,000 views because it's so well put together.
Yeah, it's true, man.
And there's go ahead.
Because I think the biggest thing is a lot of people saw it on TV, like it premiered on actual TSN. So I think people wouldn't necessarily go back to go watch it afterwards.
Right.
And then the people that did watch it online are just different viewers. So yeah, it's weird. I only had that many, but still, it was featured on YouTube. It was featured on their website. So
it was featured on YouTube.
Yeah, some of those views are a little skewed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me that part of the game is really interesting, but. I mean, I don't know. I'm really happy that you have this thing that kind of helped you grow in the scene. I hope you do make the Olympic team in 2021 now, is it?
Yeah, 2021. So
hopefully you get it.
It would start at the end of July. Hopefully. We'll see.
That'd be sick. Because then you and Milos at the Olympics, I could say like I had 2 Olympians on the podcast. What's up, haters? Like,
oh, that's Milos and my dream. We always talk about that. We both want to make it so bad.
You and him in Japan at the Olympics would be like, I want those stories in my snap.
Oh, that'd be a wild time.
All right, bro. Where can people follow you? What are you doing? Tell them, shout outs, anything like that.
Yeah, just follow at Corey Bellemore on Twitter, Instagram. You can DM me, email me, whatever.
Ladies. No, I'm just kidding. Beautiful.
But yeah, I'm always available. Always trying to like make new content, stuff like that. So yeah, I'll be training the next couple months and working hard.
Awesome. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. Appreciate it.